because of the stories of young girls that we heard were being groomed into what he called pastorals and forced to provide sexual services to this so-called Son of God. Ang pakikipagtalik daw kay Apollo Quiboloy ay paraan ng pagsasamba sa Ama at because of the stories of young girls that we heard were being groomed into what he called pastorals and forced to provide sexual services to this so-called Son of God. Ang pakikipagtalik daw kay Apollo Quiboloy ay paraan ng pagsasamba sa Ama at pagsasakripisyo ng sarili para sa dakilang manlilikha. Tinulak namin ang pagdinig na ito dahil sa kwento ng mga batang puslit na sapilitang pinapalimos sa kalsada at hindi pinapag-aral para makabili ng helicopter, mamahaling sasakyan, malalaking bahay sa iba't ibang bansa, ang self-proclaimed Son of God. Hindi po ito katanggap-tanggap sa amin. Coming on the heels of the Senyor Aguila investigation, mahalaga din sa amin na siyasatin. May pagkukulang ba ang ating batas at tila hindi napaparusahan ang mga leader ng mga religious organizations na nagtatago sa balot ng religious freedom para pagtakba ng kahindik-hindik na mga kasamaan? Are our rape laws sufficient to navigate the gray area of consent, sexual agency, and religious freedom? Are our labor laws sufficient to address the situation of religious volunteers na sapilitang pinagtatrabaho at pinagkakaitan ng mga benepisyo gaya ng SSS, PhilHealth at Pag-ibig? Ngayon po, nandito na sa harap natin si Apollo Quiboloy. Pilit na iniwasan ang Senado kung ano-anong kondisyones ang ginawa para hindi harapin ang ating pagdinig, 50 security personnel, private jet, 5-star hotel at iba pa. Pinarali pa ang mga tagasunod at binuli ang mga witnesses namin sa social media. Ngayon po, nandito na po kayo. Bumabagyo man, ay magkaharap na po tayong lahat. Today, Mr. Quiboloy, your victims will confront whom they believe to be their abuser. Wag po kayong mag-alala. You will also be given an opportunity to reply. Today, mga kasama, dear colleagues, sama-sama tayong matututo, maglalagom, magwawasto, at pinakamahalaga, maghihilom. We will all heal. At this point, pagdating po ni Majority Leader, mag-opening statement din sila. At sa ngayon, may I request our Committee Secretary to recognize the resource persons and administer the oath to those who are here for the first time. At ganito po ang ating daloy, ladies and gentlemen. Today is about the victim survivors. Matagal nang pinatahimik, matagal na tinakot. Ngayon po ay bibigyan natin sila ng puwang magsalita. Mayroon din po tayo mga witnesses dito na minsan nang nagpakita sa ating hearing. Para sa kanilang kaligtasan ay gumamit po sila ng ibang pangalan. Kung ano-ano ang nadinig galing sa mga taga-KOJC. Kesyo daw, duwag, ayaw magpakita ng mukha. Ngayon po, magpapakita na ng mukha at buong pagkakilanlan sina Yulia Tartova, nakilalang alias Sofia, Edward Ablaza Masayon, nakilalang alias Jackson, at Joar Martinet Olimba, nakilalang alias Jerome. So, Comsec, pakikilalanin muna yung ating resource persons at panumpain yung hindi pa nakapag-sumpa.
Good morning po, Senator Ontiveros. For today's inquiry, the Department of Justice, which is supposed to be represented by Secretary Jesus Remulla, is represented by Senior State Counsel Mary Grace Quintana. We also have the Director for the Criminal Investigation and Detection Group, CIDG, PB General Nicolas Torre III, and Police Lieutenant Colonel Jean Likud, Police Colonel Hansen Marantan. Okay. For the National Bureau of Investigation, we have Investigator Victoria B. Canyo Jr., Victoria, and SI Geraldo P. De Luna. From the Department of Social Welfare and Development, we have Social Welfare Officer 5, Ms. Charito Esteban, and Attorney for Edgar Alian Pamis. From the Department of Interior and Local Government, we have ASEC Romeo P. Benitez. From the Department of Foreign Affairs, we have Undersecretary Jesus Gary Domingo. We have Secretary Enrique Manalo. Sorry po. And Attorney Zeph Goson. From the Bureau of Immigration, we have Attorney Vicente Uncad and Attorney Jose Calito Zailicas. From the Council for the Welfare of Children, we have Undersecretary Angelo M. Tapales. From the Commission on Human Rights, we have Chairperson Richard Palpalato. From the Securities and Exchange Commission, we have Attorney Jonathan Pancrasius Pagirigan. We have Chief Counsel Attorney Hale Oliver Labayo and Attorney Pamela Lorraine S. Ramos. From the Social Security System, they are represented by Ms. Marie-Elaine Estoque, their Vice President for Mindanao South 1 Luzon Division. And Ms. Irene Laksamana, as well as Ms. Alnora Presbitero, Ms. Elaine Perucho, Attorney Joseph Desuña. From the Center for Migrant Advocacy, they are represented by the Executive Director Ellen Sana. From the now Independent Press Council, they are represented by the President Edita Caduaya. And the founding leader and executive pastor of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, Pastor Apollo Quiboloy, together with Miss Jacqueline Roy, Resente Canada, Pauline Canada, Ingrid Canada, Sylvia Semañez. With online is Miss Arlene Canuda Stone, Mr. Edward Ablasa Masayon, Mr. Joar Martinet Olimba, Ms. Teresita Kinanhan Valdehuesa, Ms. Jocelyn Mondejar, and online also is Ms. Yulia Veronin, and online also is Mr. Dindo Garcia Makiling. We will be joined later by alias Marie, Senator. That's all. May I request all of those who have not yet taken their oaths, the resource persons and witnesses as well, to stand up. And please raise your right hand. Resource persons and witnesses, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this Senate inquiry proceedings?
Yes.
Senator, they have all answered in the affirmative. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Comsec, at maraming salamat sa lahat ng resource persons. At this point, bago natin unang binigin yung ating mga victim survivors, first I would like to call on the Majority Leader, Senator Francis Tolentino, para sa kanilang opening statement. You have the floor, Majo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Magandang umaga sa ating mga resource persons. Magandang umaga kay Pastor Apollo Quiboloy at sa lahat ng mga naririto. At sa mga kapwa kong mambabatas, kahit po yun nandun sa online at sa ating mga panauhin, tayo po ay naririto sa harap ng committee ito sa isang maulang araw. At nais ko lang linawin po ang layunin para sa aking perspective as an officer of the court, as a lawyer, kung ano po ang layunin at kahalagahan ng pagdinig na ito. Ang Senado ay, unang-una, ang Senado ay hindi isang hukuman. At hindi po tayo naririto upang magpasya kung ang isang tao ay nagkasala o walang sala. Sa ilalim ng saligang batas ng Pilipinas, lalong-lalo na sa Article 6, Section 21, binigyan tayo ng kapangyarihan. Tinutukoy ko po ang mga mambabatas na magsagawa ng mga investigasyon in aid of legislation o bilang tulong sa paggawa ng mga batas. Sa hukuman, ang pangunahing layunin ay ang paglutas ng mga kaso at pag-alam kung may pananagutan o wala ang mga akusado, batay sa ebidensyang ipinapakita. Sa Senado, ang ating layunin ay iba. Ito ay upang mag-imbestiga at mangalap ng mga impormasyon at dokumento para sa isang makatarungan at makabuluhang pagbalangkas ng mga batas. Sa isang husgado, meron pong tinatawag na right cross-examine witnesses. Maliwanag po sa Rules of Court, ang Bill of Rights, at iba pa. Ngunit nais ko pong ipabatid na ang karapatang mag-cross-examine ng mga testigo, isang mahalagang bahagi ng mga pagdinig ng korte, ay hindi saklaw ng investigasyong ito. Ang proseso ng cross-examination at iba pang pamamaraan na ginagamit ng korte ay eksklusibo sa hudikatura. But we recognize, this committee, again, as an officer of the court, recognizes the primacy of the judiciary insofar as this issue is concerned. One, because the committee requested the Regional Trial Court of Pasig to allow the detainees to attend today's hearing. It is an acknowledgement of the court's jurisdiction over the accused. Number two, the committee, before it moved and conducted a hearing today, showed respect to the court by acknowledging the court's jurisdiction and not conducting a hearing without the prior court approval. And number two, and I would want to make a motion here before I continue my opening statement, Madam Chair, this committee should likewise be furnished a copy of any opposition filed to form part of the records of these proceedings of the counsel of those accused present here. I request, Madam Chair, that we be provided copies of any opposition filed by the group of Pastor Quiboloy and all other accused in the Pasig case, if that would merit the consideration of this committee, Madam Chair.
So ruled, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam
Comsec,
Chair.
please.
That would form part of the records of this case, Madam Chair. And again, I reiterate what I've been saying here. Ang atin pong ginagawa ay hindi po para maghusga ng innocence or guilt ng mga akusado sa isang kaso. Subalit, nais po rin nating bigyan diin na napakaraming desisyon ng Korte Suprema, simula pa lang nung Arnold versus Nazareno, 1950, na binigyan diin ng Korte Suprema ang kapangyarihan ng Senado na mag-imbita at magpatawag ng mga saksi, resource persons, para linawin ang paggawa ng batas. At kaya po tayo merong pagdinig ngayon. Subalit, nais ko pong hilingin sa lahat na during these proceedings, we show utmost respect and consideration to all persons here present, whether accuser or accused. Ang Senado po should remain as a bastion of dignity. Hindi po tayo narito para magtapon ng kung ano-anong dumi sa bawat isa, kung hindi para ipakita na ang paggawa ng batas ay ating pinapahalagahan at pinapahalagahan din natin ang karapatan ng mga naririto. Sa hukuman, meron silang, ulitin ko, meron silang karapatan na magsalita ang abogado. Dito po ay hindi. Let me ask the committee and all my colleagues here, whether present physically or virtually, to assure all of those listening that under our rules, all resource persons will be treated with respect and afforded fair treatment. Then that this institution, as I've said, will always pride itself in upholding the principles of fairness and transparency. However, if there are legal matters against you, it must be addressed in the proper judicial forum, not here. In summary, while we have the authority to compel testimony in aid of legislation, any allegations or charges will have to be resolved in the court of law. And I'm now referring to the Regional Trial Court of Pasig. Madam Chair, let us always be reminded that we have a constitution. We have a living constitution, and that the constitution should stand as our unwavering shield, protecting the rights of all, whether accused or accuser, in ensuring that justice is served without discrimination and with fairness and equality. Sana po sa pagdinig na ito, makagawa tayo ng nararapat na pagbabago sa batas, and I'm referring to the Human Trafficking Act, the elements of which we cannot, the penalties could be increased, but just the same, this hearing is required of us as part of the complexities of governance that would require us to listen to various voices, even those embroiled in legal challenges and scrutiny. Again, Madam Chair, it is crucial that we uphold the integrity of our legislative process by respecting all resource persons present and upholding due process and fairness. Our commitment must be to engage in a meaningful dialogue while adhering to the principles of justice and respect for individual rights. Our role is to seek the truth. To seek the truth. Mapagandan ho natin yung batas, marami nakikinig ngayon, and not to pass judgment. Madam Chair, thank you for giving me the privilege to have an opening statement, and again, let that serve as a continuing manifestation as to the role of this committee in the coming minutes and in the coming hours as we proceed. I now yield the floor. Maraming salamat po at magandang umaga sa inyo lahat.
Maraming salamat din po, Majority Leader. At dagdag dun sa areas of legislation na tinukoy ng Majority Leader, inuulit ko lang yung bahagi ng opening statement ko rin kanina tungkol sa ating mga batas kaugnay ng pag-misuse ng usapin ng religious freedom, yung mga rape laws natin, kung nasasaklaw na nito yung mga usapin ng consent, sexual agency at religious freedom, at yung mga labor laws din natin, kung saklaw yung mga karapatan at kagalingan ng mga tinatawag na religious volunteers. So muli, salamat po sa Majority Leader. And at this point, lastly, bago natin pakinggan yung ating mga victim survivors, may request po sa ating good Foreign Affairs Secretary Manalo dahil kinakailangan nilang umalis ng mas maaga na makapagbigay ng ilang mga salita sa atin. Secretary Manalo, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you. Maraming salamat, Honorable Chairperson Senator Risa Ontiveros, Honorable Senator Francis Tolentino, my colleagues in government, good morning. I just want to thank Senator Ontiveros in this committee for giving the Department of Foreign Affairs the opportunity to contribute to our meeting today in aid of legislation. Nais ko lang briefing lang on 2 points with your permission. The first point is on the possible extradition issue. And as you know, the Philippines has an extradition treaty with the United States of America. State, none of our foreign service posts in the United States have reported receiving any request or assistance. Madam Chair, the DFA is ready to assist in providing any information that we may receive from this date relevant to the to today's legislative inquiry. And I'm also being joined today by Undersecretary Jose Domingo, who can add.
Would you, Sec Domingo, like to briefly add anything to these 2 updates on the formal request for extradition and the request for assistance?
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair, Senator Tolentino. Yes, as Secretary Manalo has mentioned, that we have not yet received a formal request, but we are standing by. Also, we have also not received any request with regard to trafficking, with assistance with respect to the human trafficking. But all our Foreign Service posts and all our offices in the Department of Foreign Affairs stand ready. And we have been in informal.
Thank you also, Yusek Domingo. The Majority Leader would like
Just
to
one
interject.
quick follow-up question, address either the Secretary Manalo or Yusek Domingo. I have here in my possession in front of me our extradition treaty signed November 13, 1994, which I believe should be read alongside Presidential Decree 1069. This has some legal complexities involved, and perhaps you might want to educate this committee, which would have primacy just in case an extradition request is sent to the DFA. What would happen to the pending case?
Thank you very much,
Secretary
Senator.
Manalo.
Yeah. If I could first give a very general answer, and then, of course, on any specifics that might arise in the event that we receive a formal extradition request. Just to say, if we do receive a formal request, we will, the DFA will, of course, study it and see if it is consistent with the agreed procedure pertaining to extradition. And here is where PD 1069 would also come in. So we would have to study that. And then after, if we are satisfied with the request, we will, of course, refer it to the Department of Justice for relevant action. So in other words, we will still have to study any extradition request if received. Perhaps later, it's quite a detailed approach, pero yun ang general approach if we do receive such a request. Thank you.
One quick follow-up, just to remind the officials of Department of Foreign Affairs as well as councils present here. Anything that would transpire and would come out of these proceedings would, under oath, would be recorded. And pursuant to existing extradition rules, any request to have any transcripts coming out of these proceedings would have to be coursed through the DFA. Kayo po ang magpapadala nito mula sa committee ito papunta kung saan man. So you should be aware of that, and the lawyers here present should be aware of that, because this would trigger some concerns involving civil rights or individual rights. So just be aware of that, and I suggest, Madam Chair, that the DFA should stay here till the conclusion of the investigation proceedings, to be physically present. But that's what I'm saying. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Assured naman po tayo na bagamat may kailangang mauna ng umalis si Secretary Manalo, that Yusek Domingo will stay on with us. So the department will be well represented. Salamat po, Secretary Manalo, Undersecretary Domingo at Majority Leader. So ngayon po, ang una po nating witness ngayong umaga ay si Teresita Valdehuesa, ang di umanong miyembro ng unang batch ng pastoral ni Apollo Quiboloy. Bago po siya magsimula, I would like everyone to listen to this video, to watch this video. Si Ms. Teresita, si Ms. Ging, ang pinapatungkulan dito, but it will also give a sense of the threats that victim survivors face from within the kingdom. Open source po itong video na ito. In fact, galing sa public channel ni Pastor dati. So, ipe-play na po natin ngayon para mapanood nating lahat.
She contacted someone named Teresita Valdehuesa, who was a former worker here in the kingdom, who committed lapses of fornication with many ministers and men. That is why she was supposed to be disciplined, but she went out. This Alina Ostapchenko is saying things against me, and we were able to record every bit of what she said. Listen to her voice. Everything that you have said to Teresita Valdehuesa, who is a former worker here, who also backslid because of some lapses in immorality, will give you a sample of her voice that was recorded. Go.
I'm fine, dear. I remember you, Bayo. And I'm so glad that I'm already out of the kingdom. And it's a miracle that how I exit from there. Because the time, kasi I was so fanatic before. But when, time passed, I realized many things I can also share with you if you like. He asked me if I'm ready to dedicate my life. I said yes, because for me, I was thinking dedicate to God, so I never think about other stuff. And suddenly, he was on me already, and he was trying to pull my pants already off. I will not ask if it's Father's will in my mind. The time I will just not try not to feel anything like that. And because I was shocked by what's happening in the room.
You have to prove that in court, because this is an international ministry and I have an international reputation. You will be sued by the kingdom in all places that you've called. We will not let this pass. Teresita Valdehuesa will be part of this. So better get your lawyers and defend yourself. We have lawyers all over the world. Wherever there is a kingdom, we have a general counsel in the name of Attorney Michael Green. In America, we have 18 lawyers who are observing all the happenings in the kingdom. We have financial consultants. We have lawyers who will defend the kingdom wherever it is being attacked.
For the record po, yung pastoral na binanggit dito, si Ms. Alina, she gave her consent also to the playing of this video in this hearing. So, Ms. Teresita, meron po kayong testimonyang hinanda. Pwede nyo na pong basahin. You have the floor.
Good morning po, Madam Chair, Honorable Senator Risa and to Honorable Senator Francisco Tolentino, and to all the members of this august body. I come here today to share the truth that has been silenced for 3 decades because of great fear, and this is also on behalf of the many victims who have suffered in silence just like I have. I believe my testimony reflects their pain, struggles, and resilience. While I understand that this is aimed to aid in legislation, I am also grateful to be given this opportunity to inform those who still believe that Apollo Quiboloy has been innocent of the crimes he is accused of because he has never been. At the age of 17, I became a member of the church led by this man, Apollo Quiboloy, in 1918. I was a freshman student. I was eager and active in the community, even spending a significant portion of my college years living at the parsonage where he resided. In 1988, I made a difficult decision of my life to dedicate this to his ministry, driven by the belief that true fulfillment and salvation lay in serving God fully. This choice meant leaving behind my family, my career, and the person I once was. Despite the resistance of family and friends, I pursued my conviction. I joined a pioneering group that struggled to meet basic needs, but my desire to serve God fueled my persistence. Over time, I gained his trust and became a respected worker within the ministry. As the ministry grew, so did our blessings. We experienced answered prayers and expanding membership, which deepened our commitment to serving God. Apollo C. Quiboloy, whom I revered, was considered as God anointed, and his words held absolute authority. I respected him deeply, viewing him as truly the man of God. From the moment I dedicated my life to the ministry until 1993, I experienced a profound spiritual awakenings. I felt forgiven. My love for God deepened, and I was proud to serve alongside a man I believed to be holy. But one day while in Manila, I received a long-distance call from him. He informed me that he had received a divine revelation intended for me and instructed me to travel to Cebu, where he would share this important message. He was also scheduled to preach in Cebu that Sunday. Upon arriving in Cebu City, we arranged for him to stay at the Park Place Hotel in Fuente Osmeña. That evening, he instructed me to remain in the hotel, while Nilda Linda, the assigned worker, returned to the worker's house. When we were alone, I asked if I could just sleep on the sofa as it was a suite room. Instead, he insisted that I would sleep beside him and even said in Bisaya, compatible gyud taging kay parehas man og color ang atong suot. Translated, we are compatible because our outfits were of the same colors. I was wearing red pajamas with white dots, while he was dressed in a red t-shirt and white pants coincidentally. His words made me feel uneasy and quite nervous, and I saw a different personality in him. But I was quick to dismiss that unusual feeling. And because I had previously witnessed Ingrid Canada or ICC, Teresita Dandan, TTD, and Velina Salinas slept in his room alternately, it led me to believe that it was just normal and harmless. Moreover, we had been conditioned to suppress any negative thoughts about him. We were warned that any suspicion on him would reflect our own personality, using the words found in 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 15, I quote, "To the pure, all things are pure, but to those who are corrupted and do not believe, nothing is pure. In fact, both their minds and consciences are corrupted," unquote. And in those days, absolute obedience was a must. We needed to have an unquestioned loyalty and reverence toward him. Sleeping beside a man I believed to be chosen by God was for me then a great privilege, an opportunity for a sinner like me. But what followed shattered my sense of faith and trust. Without a word, after turning off the light, he embraced me, undressed me, and violated me with his lustful act, and left me in shock and speechless. He then said, "This is the fulfillment of God's revelation." He explained that God had revealed to him that I was to partake in God's life through him by surrendering my body, soul, and spirit. He also mentioned that other girls would go through him in a similar manner.
I can do it. And this was the time of COVID. And I was in Ukraine, workers' house. I went to my parents' house, and I stayed there for how many months? Because we didn't know. And this is again my thinking renew. Again, I see my family. I see, and I start to. There is no one who will influence me again, and I came to life. But if it's normal, it's good, and when you don't have experience about other life in the world, you will really be afraid to go out.
Miss
And
Julia,
Yeah.
yes, no, I know that you want to say something to Pastor directly. Here in the Senate, in the Philippines, we don't allow resource persons to talk to each other directly. You may only address the chair. So if you want to say something directly to Quiboloy, please address it through me. For the record, please say, Madam Chair, this is what I want to say to Quiboloy, so that we can hear you and we can put your message to him on record. So please
Okay.
proceed.
Madam Chair, this is what I want to say to Mr. Quiboloy. When I came to the Philippines, I trust my life to you. You promised that you will put honor, dignity on us, and we trust that this is what will happen. And all of this time in this ministry, I was very honest to you. And if there was something that I understand, I always come to you and ask why. Explain me. So from the very beginning to the end, I don't have any bad records. I didn't show myself as a girl, cheap girl, and I always try to be on that level that you try to put on us. But because of this pastoral ministry, for how many years, you know, that I was trying to learn this way. But I always argue with you because I have a good example in my life. I have a family, there is a wife, there is a husband. I came 24 years old, I'm mature, and it was very hard to broke my the way my view about what is the life, normal life, happiness must be. And I really try to broke myself to follow your rules in the kingdom. But you lead us in a very bad experience. For all these years, of course, I have a good experience and bad. And when everything is mixed up, it's very hard to analyze. When you are on your emotional, are like they will put you very high, they will put you very low, and you're always on this wave. It's very hard to analyze the way you your true feelings, and they will think that the way you feel bad about